My name is Sid, and today we're recapping Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Ghost War. The story begins in Dubai. Two undercover operatives slip into a heavily secured building while Nigel monitors the mission from a remote location. The job is going smoothly until Nigel spots Liam entering the underground garage with a team of armed men. The site tells him everything he needs to know. The mission has been compromised. Nigel immediately orders the agents to get out, but they're already close to their objective and choose to keep going. After making their way through the building, they reach a secured office protected by multiple electronic locks. They bypass the first layer of security, enter the room, and start working on a server. One agent begins extracting the data while the other keeps watch. The download has barely started when armed soldiers storm the office. The agent standing guard opens fire and tries to hold them back. He fights hard, but there are too many attackers. Even after taking several hits, he keeps shooting until he's finally surrounded and killed. His partner never gets the chance to finish the transfer. The soldiers turn their attention to him and gun him down as well. With both agents dead and the operation destroyed, Liam contacts Nigel long enough to mock him before shutting down the connection. Back in New York, Jack Ryan has settled into civilian life and now works on Wall Street. One morning, while out for a run, he notices a car following him. At first, he ignores it and keeps moving, but the vehicle stays with him. Jack picks up his pace and cuts through the park, hoping to lose whoever is behind the wheel. The car follows. He ducks into a restaurant, slips through the kitchen, and exits through the back. The vehicle is waiting there too. Jack changes direction again and enters a bookstore, then leaves through a different exit. This time, he finds two cars parked outside. There's no point running anymore. He lets them take him. Inside the vehicle, he discovers he's not being kidnapped at all. Waiting for him is James Greer, his former boss, who now serves as deputy director of the CIA. The two head to a nearby park where James explains why he tracked him down. A man named Nigel has collected important intelligence in Dubai. James needs someone he trusts to retrieve it. Before Jack can give him an answer, another familiar face joins them. Mike has been assigned to accompany him. James delivers the assignment and leaves before Jack has much chance to argue. Not long after, Jack and Mike are on a flight to Dubai. During the trip, Mike admits he has no idea what they're supposed to be collecting. He only knows James wanted the job done. After arriving in Dubai, Jack receives an earpiece and heads for a luxury party boat where he's supposed to meet Nigel. The meeting starts with a knife pressed against his back. Nigel appears out of nowhere and immediately questions why Jack showed up instead of James. Jack tries to explain that James sent him, but Nigel isn't convinced. Nearby, Mike notices a woman watching the boat and tries to warn Jack. Before he can get a message through, communications are blocked by a signal jammer. A burst of interference comes through Jack's earpiece. Nigel hears it and grows even more suspicious. Jack follows him onto an upper deck and tries again to earn his trust. Nigel keeps the knife raised. Jack insists he's there to help. Nigel shakes his head and tells him something unexpected. According to him, James is the one who needs help. A moment later, Nigel slips a cigarette pack into Jack's hand. On a nearby bridge, the woman Mike spotted earlier watches the boat from above. Mike starts moving toward her. She takes off running. After creating enough distance, she jumps from the bridge and lands on the vessel below. At the same time, Nigel continues trying to warn Jack about James. He never gets the chance to finish. A man appears behind him and drags a blade across his throat. Nigel collapses. The attacker disappears as quickly as he arrived. As Jack reacts, the woman reaches the upper deck, draws her weapon, and points it directly at him. Rather than surrender, Jack climbs over the railing and drops onto a smaller boat below. The killer is already escaping on it. The fight begins. With almost no room to move, the fight turns into a chaotic struggle across the speeding boat. Jack avoids a series of strikes while the assassin pushes the throttle harder. Jack manages to stay on his feet and keeps fighting. Behind them, Mike steals another boat and starts chasing them through the marina. As the two men struggle for control, the vessel races toward another boat. The mercenary catches him by the throat and starts choking him. Jack reaches the wheel and manages to turn it just enough to avoid a direct crash. Jack recovers first. He tackles the assassin to the ground and demands answers. Before he gets any, a sniper round tears through the mercenary's skull. Jack looks toward the source of the shot, and we see Liam standing on a nearby building with a rifle in his hands. By the time Mike reaches the dock, the woman from the bridge arrives as well, and places both Jack and Mike under arrest. Police units begin moving toward the area, forcing everyone to leave before local authorities become involved. The woman orders Mike to get them away from the bridge, and the group departs by boat. The next morning, James receives a package containing a file labeled Starling. Before he can spend much time examining it, his phone rings. The caller is Liam. That alone is a problem. Liam somehow has a direct number that should never have been available to him. Liam doesn't waste time with small talk. He wants whatever Nigel handed to Jack. If James doesn't get it back, Jack dies. Meanwhile, Jack and Mike are being held at a safe house. The woman who arrested them finally introduces herself as Emma. She makes it clear that she's done her homework. Within minutes, she's discussing details from both men's careers and showing just how much information she has access to. She also informs Jack that he's currently the main suspect in a double homicide investigation. The conversation eventually turns toward James. Emma produces a photograph connected to an old operation where an asset supposedly died in self-defense. Jack already knows the official version of the story. Emma tells him the official version isn't true. She shows him another photograph of the dead man. There are no visible injuries that suggest a fight took place. According to Emma, the evidence points toward torture. Jack refuses to believe James would do something like that. Emma explains that James wasn't the one carrying it out. He trained the people who did. From there, she begins explaining Project Starling. After the September 11th attacks, James and Nigel were chosen to create a joint task force that operated beyond many of the normal restrictions placed on intelligence agencies. Governments were acting out of fear and anger, and Starling was given enormous freedom. According to Emma, the program left a long trail of bodies behind during the early years of the War on Terror. Eventually, other countries started pushing back. Someone had to answer for what happened. James became the public face of the scandal, while the identities of Starling's operatives remained hidden. Liam was one of those names. Emma also has her own theory about Nigel's actions in Dubai. She doesn't believe he was trying to hand over physical evidence at all. Instead, she thinks the meeting was simply a way to reach James. Only after laying all of this out does she reveal who she really works for. Emma is an MI6 officer. As far as she's concerned, Jack is now part of her investigation. Jack contacts James and updates him on everything he's learned. Not long afterward, Emma takes both Jack and Mike to England. At the airport, they're met by her superior, Andrew. As the group leaves, Andrew pulls Emma aside and criticizes her decision to travel to Dubai without authorization. Emma argues that Nigel wasn't just James's contact. He was one of theirs too. Around the same time, James arrives at MI6 headquarters and meets Jack face to face. The conversation turns hostile almost immediately. Jack is furious that he was sent into a hellhole without knowing what he was walking into. He's even more frustrated by everything James has kept hidden over the years. James responds by showing him the Starling file. Inside are photographs of the two agents killed during the failed operation in Dubai. Jack recognizes one of them from his CIA days. James explains that the other operative worked for MI6. 2 years earlier, both men had been recruited by Liam after he secretly restarted Project Starling. They spent about a year working under him before realizing what the organization had become. Once they understood what was happening, they reached out to Nigel. Nigel began monitoring Liam's activities and quietly gathering information, even though he lacked the resources to stop him directly. Eventually, Liam discovered he was being watched. James never knew that part. As far as he was concerned, Nigel's cover was intact when he sent Jack to Dubai. That explanation does little to calm Jack down. The argument grows louder. James accuses him of acting as though intelligence work is clean and simple when it never has been. He defends Starling as a response to a time when bureaucratic delays were costing lives and allowing terrorists to stay one step ahead. Jack doesn't accept the justification. The more he hears, the more he starts seeing similarities between James and Liam. One built Starling, the other brought it back. From Jack's perspective, the line between them is becoming harder to see. The disagreement is put on hold when both sides join a larger intelligence briefing. Jack reports that Nigel never gave him anything useful before he died. Andrew then presents the little evidence investigators managed to recover from the dead assassin. A damaged flash drive was found on the body. Most of its contents were destroyed, but technicians managed to salvage a handful of files. The recovered material includes surveillance images of the Karakoram mountain range between Pakistan and China, photographs taken around London, encrypted schematics, and several financial records. One transaction stands out. Money was withdrawn from an ATM in central London only 4 days earlier. James studies the files for a few seconds before recognizing what he's looking at. He's seen this operation before. 20 years ago, Starling infiltrated a radical military group known as the PMN. The organization had been preparing an attack on London, and their intended target was Tower Bridge. James believes the similarities are too strong to ignore. He recommends shutting the bridge down immediately. Andrew disagrees. The evidence isn't strong enough to justify that kind of response, especially when closing one of London's most recognizable landmarks would cause widespread disruption. James pushes back. Nigel contacted him for a reason. The files weren't random. They were meant to point towards something specific. In his view, Liam has revived an operation mission Starling stopped 2 decades earlier. The idea rattles Andrew. Liam isn't just another former operative. He's considered a national hero. Accepting James's theory means admitting that one of the country's most decorated intelligence officers has become the threat. Despite his reservations, Andrew eventually authorizes a response and sends teams to secure the bridge. After the meeting, James contacts CIA Director Elizabeth and fills in the parts of the story most people never heard. Years earlier, he, Nigel, and Liam worked together in Karachi while investigating PMN activity. During that operation, they captured several members of the group and used aggressive interrogation methods to uncover details about a planned attack. The information led them to a posh neighborhood where they raided a heavily guarded residence connected to the organization. The operation turned bloody. Most of the people inside were killed. Only one suspect survived. That man turned out to be a high-ranking official within the Pakistani military. Under interrogation, he revealed the location of a London safe house connected to the bombing plot. The information allowed Starling to stop the attack only a few hours before it was scheduled to happen. The mission was considered a success. The aftermath wasn't. The surviving prisoner died during questioning, and the political consequences landed squarely on James. Starling was shut down. James took the blame. Years later, Nigel discovered that Liam never stopped. While everyone else believed Starling was dead, Liam continued operating in secret. James believes the attacks of September 11th changed him permanently. Over time, he became convinced that killing enemies was the only reliable solution. Now he's trying to prove that belief to everyone else. Elizabeth later arrives in London herself and uses her influence to smooth relations between the CIA and MI6 while publicly supporting James. Not long after, Jack and Emma set up surveillance outside a suspected London safe house. Mike watches from a nearby restaurant. While monitoring the area, he identifies a suspect and decides to follow him. The suspect quickly realizes he's being watched and breaks into a run. Mike chases him through the streets and eventually tackles him in the middle of a crowded public area. At the same time, Jack, Emma, and a tactical team enter the safe house. Inside, they find weapons, explosives, and detailed plans connected to Tower Bridge. The discovery looks promising at first. Meanwhile, the man Mike captured is questioned by investigators. He insists he's only a courier who was paid to receive a package and has no knowledge of any larger operation. As reports come in from both locations, Jack starts feeling uneasy. Something about the entire situation feels wrong. The safe house was found too easily. The evidence was too visible. The timing doesn't fit. The answer finally clicks. The safe house wasn't the objective. It was a distraction. Every available resource had been pulled toward it. That left one person exposed, James. At headquarters, Elizabeth steps into a vehicle. The bomb hidden inside detonates. The explosion kills several agents and throws James to the ground. Communication with him is lost instantly. The moment Jack realizes what happened, he, Emma, and Mike race back toward headquarters. When James regains consciousness, the scene around him is chaos. Elizabeth is dead. Emergency crews begin flooding the area. Through the confusion, James notices a vehicle pulling away from the scene. Liam is sitting inside. He looks directly at James before driving off. That is all James needs to see. Ignoring every security protocol in place, he jumps into a car and takes off after him. The pursuit tears through the streets of London. News of the chase reaches Jack and the others, and Emma immediately orders a change, of course. Instead of heading for headquarters, they turn around and move toward the pursuit. Ahead of them, James finally gets close enough to take a shot. He fires through his window. The bullet misses Liam and shatters the glass. A second vehicle enters the chase moments later. Liam's men lean out and open fire. James's armored car absorbs most of the damage, but the barrage forces him into increasingly dangerous maneuvers as he speeds through crowded roads. Police units begin joining the pursuit, creating even more chaos. While this is happening, Jack pushes the team's van through traffic and takes risks most drivers would never consider. Liam eventually turns onto a narrow road. James follows. The chase continues through packed city streets until Liam crashes into a civilian vehicle on a major avenue. His car finally comes to a stop. Liam steps out and starts walking away as if nothing happened. James abandons his own vehicle and goes after him. He fires a shot into the air, sending civilians scrambling in every direction. Liam barely reacts. He turns and watches. Then his backup arrives. Several mercenaries open fire, forcing James behind cover. He returns fire whenever he gets the chance, but ammunition disappears quickly. Help arrives before he runs out completely. Together, they work through Liam's gunmen one by one until none are left standing. Police sirens grow louder with every passing second. Staying any longer isn't an option. The group pulls James out and disappears before law enforcement can lock the area down. Later, Elizabeth's body is prepared for transport back to the States. While those arrangements are being made, the team regroup inside a secure military bunker to review everything they've learned. The identities of the men killed during the London chase reveal an important detail. None of them belonged to the PMN. Instead, they were connected to a Russian extremist organization that Starling dismantled years ago. The discovery points toward a larger pattern. As intelligence reports are compared, it becomes clear that Liam isn't rebuilding a single group. He's recruiting survivors from multiple organizations Starling once targeted. Groups that were thought to be gone are active again. James believes he understands the message Liam is trying to send. Liam wants to prove that threats never truly disappear. In his mind, governments only create the illusion of safety, while programs like Starling are the only reason those organizations stay contained. James then explains why Nigel had been operating in Dubai. For months, Nigel had been gathering evidence against Liam and trying to build a case strong enough to bring him down. He was close to succeeding before Liam uncovered what he was doing. As the discussion continues, Jack raises a possibility that makes everyone uncomfortable. Liam had every opportunity to kill James after the bombing. He chose not to. Now Elizabeth is gone, and James is positioned to become CIA director. From Liam's perspective, that could be useful. If James wants to protect himself from scrutiny over Starling's past, he might decide exposing Liam isn't worth the risk. James rejects the idea. He has no interest in protecting Liam. If anything, he wants him stopped more than anyone else in the room. Before the conversation can continue, a colonel enters with unexpected news. A food delivery has arrived for James. Nobody ordered food. The package is checked for explosives and other threats before being brought inside. Once it's cleared, James opens it. Inside is a message. "You're not America's first great traitor." The note triggers a memory. James suddenly knows where Liam wants him to go. Not long afterward, the team sets up surveillance near the National Gallery. James approaches alone while the others blend into the crowd around the area. Liam is already waiting. The two men stand face to face in the middle of a busy public space while tourists move around them completely unaware of what's happening. Liam begins picking at old wounds. He questions James's loyalty, his decisions, and the choices that led to Starling's creation. The exchange grows increasingly hostile. James struggles to keep his temper under control. Nearby, Jack, Emma, and Mike start moving closer. Liam notices. Raising his voice, he tells them to stop. They freeze. A red laser dot appears on James's jacket. A sniper is covering the meeting. Liam has planned for everything. With the situation under his control, he gets to the point. He wants the information Nigel stole. He also intends to keep operating Starling on his own terms. James insists he doesn't know what information Liam is talking about. Jack steps in before the conversation can go any further. He tells Liam that Nigel's item was left behind in Dubai. Liam studies him carefully. After a few seconds, he accepts the answer. Jack is instructed to retrieve it. Once he does, Liam promises he'll make contact again. The meeting ends there. Both sides walk away. Back at the bunker, Jack admits he made the entire story up. He never left anything in Dubai because Nigel never gave him anything valuable. The cigarette pack is still the only object Nigel handed over before he died. Jack gives it to Emma and explains that he's already examined every part of it. There's nothing hidden inside. That realization leads him in a different direction. James believed Nigel was trying to pass information. Liam believed the same thing. If Nigel knew he was being watched, handing Jack an ordinary object would have been an easy way to keep attention focused on the wrong thing. The cigarette pack may have served only one purpose: a distraction. The real intelligence was hidden somewhere else. That evening, Emma takes Jack to a neighborhood pub. After speaking with the owner, she obtains access to Nigel's apartment. While they're there, she finally reveals something personal. Nigel wasn't just her colleague, he was her father. The apartment contains an old computer Nigel preferred using. It was slower and outdated, but far harder to compromise remotely. Emma searches through the files and finds nothing useful. Jack takes a different approach. Rather than looking for stored information, he focuses on what Nigel was doing before he died. After reviewing the records, he notices something unusual. Nigel wasn't downloading data. He was monitoring a live transmission. Jack quickly contacts CIA technician Patrick and asks him to trace the source. While Patrick works, Emma continues searching through the apartment. One item catches her attention. It's an old Halloween photograph of herself and Nigel. In the picture, she's dressed as Madonna. The image reminds Jack of something Liam said earlier. During their meeting, Liam referred to Emma as Blonde Ambition. At the time, it seemed meaningless. Blonde Ambition was the name of Madonna's famous tour. Liam could only have known that reference if he'd been inside this apartment. Very few people knew the place existed. Emma knew, Nigel knew, and Andrew knew. The answer is impossible to ignore. Andrew is the mole. Emma immediately calls him and pretends the apartment search produced nothing useful. Andrew accepts the update without suspicion. At the same time, Jack contacts James and shares what they've learned. The failed operation in Dubai wasn't about retrieving information. Nigel had been trying to transmit Starling's records directly to the CIA when Liam interrupted the process. If Jack can locate the original transmission point, they may still be able to recover everything Nigel died trying to expose. The next morning, Liam's surveillance network is already watching the bunker. One of his observers reports that James and Mike have left the facility, but Jack hasn't appeared. Liam tells the man to stay on James and continue tracking his movements. What he doesn't know is that Jack is heading somewhere else. Jack and Emma arrive at an airport, and before long, Mike joins them. As they prepare to leave, Emma places a call to Andrew. She tells him she's coordinated with Emirati intelligence and plans to meet local authorities after arriving in Dubai. The information is completely false. Andrew doesn't realize that. As soon as the call ends, he passes the details to Liam exactly as expected. Liam takes the bait. Convinced that Jack and Emma are heading toward a meeting with local intelligence services, he decides to fly to Dubai himself. Meanwhile, James appears to be heading back to the United States. After landing in Dubai, Jack, Emma, and Mike are met by one of Nigel's former associates, who agrees to help them. During the drive through the city, Jack speaks with CIA technician Patrick. Patrick has traced the source of Nigel's transmission. The signal leads to a skyscraper known as Dubai Marina. Their local contact explains that Dubai's security infrastructure is designed to identify threats before they become crimes. The same technology is now being exploited by Liam to track people across the city. By the time the team reaches the tower, Liam's people have already been warned. Inside the building, guards move into position. Jack, Emma, and Mike enter while Patrick guides them remotely through their earpieces. Several floors above, Jack and Emma encounter the first wave of armed men. Office furniture is shredded by bullets as both sides exchange fire across the open floor. Jack and Emma keep moving. During the fight, one of the bodies crashes onto a glass section of the floor. The impact shatters it. Emma tries to pull away, but part of the floor collapses beneath her. She drops through the opening. Then Jack pulls her back to safety, and the two continue moving. Elsewhere in the tower, Mike enters another floor occupied by additional mercenaries. He clears the level quickly. One attacker manages to hide long enough to get behind the group, but Emma spots him and drops him before he can fire. At roughly the same time, Liam arrives at the building with reinforcements. Both sides are now racing toward the same destination, the server. The trio continues upward through the tower, fighting through every group Liam has stationed inside. Mike eventually splits off and heads outside to watch the perimeter while Jack and Emma push toward the upper levels. To gain an advantage, they discharge a fire extinguisher and fill part of the floor with white vapor, using the cover to catch several guards by surprise. Within minutes, they reach the final office. A reinforced security door blocks access to the room beyond. Emma solves the first problem by shooting through a nearby wall. A second barrier stands behind it. This one is metal. She plants an explosive charge and blows it apart. Behind the destroyed door sits the server room Nigel died trying to reach. Patrick immediately begins walking Jack through the recovery process. Jack connects his tablet and starts pulling data from the system. The files begin appearing on his screen. What Nigel had been trying to expose was far larger than anyone expected. The server contains records on the entire Starling network: names, operations, financial records, active personnel. The list confirms what Jack and Emma already suspected. Andrew is part of the operation. Before they can process much more than that, Liam and his men storm into the room. Another firefight begins. While bullets tear through the office, Jack secretly contacts another ally. James never returned to America. He's already on his way. Outside, Mike reaches the roof and takes control of a nearby construction crane overlooking the building. Inside, neither side can gain a clear advantage. Then Liam throws a grenade. The blast knocks Jack and Emma off their feet and briefly leaves the server exposed. Near one of the shattered windows, Emma exchanges fire with a mercenary who eventually rushes her position. At that exact moment, Patrick announces that the download is complete. Every file has been recovered. On the roof, Mike puts the crane into motion. A large container swings across the skyline and smashes through the office window. The impact sends the wounded mercenary crashing to the floor. Emma finishes him before he can recover. Across the room, Jack and Emma continue firing at Liam and his men. In the chaos, another gunman slips behind them and opens fire. Emma takes a hit. Jack turns and kills the attacker before dragging her behind cover. Liam continues advancing. Jack makes a decision. He steps out from cover holding the tablet and offers it to Liam, claiming it contains everything Nigel stole. Liam pauses. For a second, it looks like he's buying the story. Then a helicopter appears outside the shattered windows. Jack drops to the floor. James and a team of operators open fire from the aircraft. Rounds tear through the office and slam into Liam. He absorbs multiple hits but remains alive, barely. As Liam reaches for his sidearm, Jack raises his weapon and fires. The following morning, Andrew is arrested. The recovered files leave no room for explanation or denial. Emma survives her injuries and later says goodbye to Jack. In the weeks that follow, the political fallout settles. With Elizabeth gone, James Greer becomes the new director of the CIA. Recognizing everything Jack did throughout the investigation, James recommends him to the president for a senior position within the agency. The recommendation is accepted. After years away from intelligence work, Jack Ryan returns to the CIA. This time, not as an analyst hidden behind a desk, but as James Greer's deputy. And that's where, my friends, the story comes to an end. How did you like this recap? Let me know in the comments below.